In the wildwood of accounting, we all know garbage data in means garbage data out. The same thing applies to your body. As a C-suite guy who obviously lifts, I want to be just as sharp in the boardroom as I am in the weight room. I don't have time for guesswork supplements or flashy nonsense, and that's why I use Redcon One. Clean ingredients, real formulas, stuff that actually works when you're training at 5 a.m. at the gym or burning midnight oil in your month-end grind. So whether you're an accounting bro, finance bro, or business leader in an NGO, if you want more energy, better recovery, and fewer excuses, this is your sign. Head to redcon1.com and use promo code BIZBUYSANDBS for 20% off. Don't just audit your numbers, audit your nutrition by leaning into America's favorite supplements at Redcon One. Yeah.
Business, biceps, a little BS. Fitness mixed with finance, now you're really gonna see us as we're learning, growing. All your minds we're blowing, earning while we're burning. Shirts are tight so gains are showing. Resolve, evolve, absolve, it's time to make a move. Better check yourself, cause if you're doubting, no, we got the proof. Voices speaking loud, cause we're proud about what we can do. Tickling your ears with CPE, rooted in the truth.
Craig's giving us a great line. I think we're good. So you said that you are at the University of Wyoming, and you're I mean, it looks like a shopping mall behind you. Because I know I'm going to screw it up, will you please introduce yourself so I don't mess up your name?
All right. So I'm Sondos Banouri, and I'm originally from Tunisia. And I'm a PhD holder in accounting. So I pursued all my studies in Tunisia. So for those who don't know anything about Tunisia, Tunisia is a North African country. So currently I'm based in the University of Wyoming, exactly the College of Business. And I've been here since September 1st, 2025, and it's part of the Fulbright Visiting Scholar program.
Which I'm super excited to have you on. It's okay. So let's just go ahead and we're gonna paint the picture here, because this is one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this one, especially when we had our conversation. We were introduced by a mutual friend Sean Crevier, right? He says Crevier, but I'm thinking, no, you got to really accentuate the French in that, right? So Crevier said, hey, you guys should meet. So we had a conversation, and it was a conversation, the way you were described to me is that, hey, Tim, there's other people like you out there. And I was like, there's no. There's if they are, they're ostracized from the communities. No, but there's no other accountants out there that we would call creative, right? Because creative accountants in our world, that's a bad thing. Where I'm looking at it going, we need to take that word back. You know, we need creativity to be something that we embrace, not something we shun away because of the rules and the guide rails and stuff. So of course, you and I get on a phone call. And I think at the time I was pacing the outfield of the Bananas home stadium, and man, you just lit me up. I went home. I talked to my wife. I was like, oh my gosh, just met the most wonderful woman. She's like, what's her name? I was like, whoa, hold on. I said, this is really fun because there's other people out there inside the accounting discipline who are teaching in the accounting discipline, but they're teaching with their passion, which is their creativity. It's like left brain and right brain working together to actually come up with something just absolutely fantastic for students and colleagues and other professors out there to look at it and go, maybe it's a little bit different. I'm a little unsure, but there's something about that professor. There's something about the way they deliver that information that it just resonates with me on so many different levels. And so when you and I were talking about this, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, we got to get you on this show because I don't want to be the man on the island by himself. I want you to come to my island and maybe we'll build some bridges to other places. But interestingly, inside that conversation, you came out and said, like, hey, there are others out there just like us. And I was like, there's no way. So so the premise of this show is that creative accountants do exist. And the question is, one, why are we so ostracized and looked at in with funny ways? But also, what can we bring to the table that can really change the way that that accounting not only is delivered, the knowledge transfer part of it, but also enhance the learning and the excitement for the profession? So I know those are two giant questions, but you're out there, you're doing it. So I want, if you don't mind, can you describe your creativity, what you bring to the discipline, and then just kind of unpack for me what the students are learning, how you're getting these technical concepts and pushing them down the line, watching the lights pop in their eyes, and all because you're just taking a different tact with the same, albeit boring information, but with just a new energy behind it.
Yes. All right. So when I first introduced myself, I missed the other parts of the brain.
Okay.
We talked about the two hemispheres saying, oh, creativity and logic. So when I first introduced myself, I was focusing on the logic side, but the creativity side, which is my art. So I always introduce myself as a self-taught artist painter. I'm into visuals. I love colors, and I've been drawing and doing art since I was a little kid. And basically, we are all artists, by the way. And Picasso says that we are all artists, but the challenge is how to remain one once we grow up. So we should agree that we are all creative humans, we are all artists, but somehow we, let's say, forgot about it. So the idea here is maybe I didn't forget about this artist inside of me, and I kept this little child somewhere, believing that art should be a side, art and creativity should be in parallel to what I'm doing and to my studies. So at a certain point in my life, I was so compliant, like accountants, we are so compliant to the standards. We are
That's
so
right.
to the guidelines and procedures. And the thing about me, I was so good in this, in the logical side, in being compliant and so on. But something was missing here. I was like, yeah, I'm doing good. Grades are great. And I mean, I think the way how we are delivering and how we are teaching accounting is missing that flavor, that excitement, that fun, that attractiveness. And when I joined, the world of teaching accounting, I was like, yeah, definitely something is wrong. And my students, they were like, we know that it's so useful, but honestly speaking, it's not that much fun. Yep. And we lost that attractiveness through years. And honestly, we are facing that challenge of like, accounting is no more attractive. We're struggling to attract students to major in accounting and so on. So the idea here was like, oh, let me do something with what I already have. And I've been asked this question, why? Painting, why colors, why visual arts? I was like, because this is me, this is who I am. So let me contribute with something that I'm good in, and maybe I can change even a little bit, this world. So I was like, yeah, let me try. So basically since 2017, I've been exploring, let's say, and experimenting and trying to draw in a very basic and simple way. And I was doing this in a very intuitive way. I didn't know that at that time, that was called, visual facilitation, sketchnoting. Those fancy, And I was like, yeah, I'm doing it because I find it easy to understand and help connect students with what am I explaining and trying to deliver here. So, and every time the feedback from students was like, wow, yeah, this is very helpful, this is very interesting, can you send this to us? Because I was just being myself and doing it my way. So this clicked in my mind. I was like, yeah, let me do it more. Let me refine it. Let me do it in a better way. So I started drawing, illustrating, making it simple, trying to make it visual to the eye. Because one of my paintings that I've been reproducing and doing again and again was the brain, the human brain. It was in the center, and it shows like the creative side, all colorful, and the logic side with all the formulas, the science, and everything. And I remember one time that I've done this, and it was an interactive activity inside of our college in Tunis. It's Tunis Business School, and we were inviting people. Please write down the formula. Write down that what you remember from your science course or your math course, and so on. And all of this to advocate for the idea we are all creative humans. We have both sides. So just remember this. As much as you remember the formula, remember that you are a creative human being. So the idea was like, yeah, let me do something about it, as I said. And honestly, what it's really encouraged me was the feedback from my students. I mean, to be honest, I was trusted in by, let's say, admin and colleagues in a way like, yeah, you are well delivering your course and everyone like is appreciating your work. That's fine. So do whatever you want. But for them, it was kind of crazy, let's say. It was like, it's outside of the box. We love art, but art should be like, somewhere aside. But how you're doing this? How are you introducing this? So I think this idea started small, and we started growing year by year. And again, I keep being grateful for my students because their feedback encouraged me to do more crazy stuff. And at a certain point in my life, I was like, I think working alone won't get me, broader, let's say, or beyond. So I was like, let me find like-minded people. I believe that since I exist, other people would exist, similar people with the same mindset, let's say, who believe in crazy, ideas.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I started looking around, and to be honest, that professional platform of LinkedIn really helped me. And I've been surfing and looking around and talking to people from my network. And the idea is, I've worked in the world of NGOs as well. So I had like those people who think outside of the box already. So I was reaching out to them, and I was like, oh, I'm a PhD holder in accounting. I'm an expert in accounting, but also I do art. So how to combine this? I have this crazy idea. And they were like, oh, someone actually told me I've crossed something that is called color accounting. And I was like, all right. What is color accounting? And I got more and more curious about it, and I reached out to the founder, Peter Frampton. So he's one of the founders of the system, and I wrote to him very professional, formal, a letter, and I was honestly expecting that, like, maybe I will get an answer in a few months or something.
Yeah.
But you know what? After 55 minutes, I received.
Oh my goodness.
I remember this number. So yeah, we reached out. It was like, how would you like to introduce color accounting? I was like, yeah, everywhere in North Africa, in the Middle East, in education, professional world. It was like, all right, let's start step by step. So yeah, I'm officially accredited in color accounting learning system, and this is an amazing system, honestly, because it uses the logic of colors, same as my work. So basically, we are building a framework that would help you see the main elements of accounting and how it connects. So basically, what I have in common with this system is the visual part of it. So what I've been trying my best through the past years to do is to help people see the story visually and how the elements connect. And after all, we are storytellers. I mean, we are storytellers of the business, and I believe that everyone who's listening to us and they studied accounting or they have an accounting background, they would say, or they would recognize the sentence, "Accounting is the language of the business."
There it is. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. So we speak the language of the business, which means like we are telling the story of the business. So if as a professor, I'm here just to explain the how and how to do it and answer the how question only, this won't be so much interesting. And we have a lot of stories, very interesting stories to tell in business. So why not spend time to talk about the story and the history and how it started and how it connects and who are the players of this story. So then it becomes really interesting because we all believe that storytelling is one of the amazing ways to communicate any information in this world. And all the books, I think, are based on storytelling. So imagine visual storytelling. I mean, you tell me an interesting, very amazing story, and at the same time, I can see it, and I can see it not in a sophisticated way, but in a very simple, basic way that easily connects to my inner child. So my inner child was like, all right, I see it, or I can remember it, because not only I'm helping you to understand what I'm talking about, but also helping you to remember. And if I'm not mistaken, 75% of information are processed through eyes. So imagine how much we are wasting, 75%. So here we're trying to provide, let's say, a 36 degree experience or a full experience where we assimilate not the hearing, but also the visual and also hands-on. So as much as I simulate your senses, you will be able not only to understand, but memorize what I'm telling you. And I think the challenge with students in accounting was always, and I think will always remain, to be the huge volume of information that we are teaching them, because it's a lot of information, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as much as I make it simple, as much as I turn it into a visual story, as much as I use colors with logic, and I keep saying this, I mean, color with logic, not just like, put pink with red with, with green and just make it beautiful. It's not about beauty. It's not about being perfect and sophisticated. No, it's making it simple and making it connect to human being.
Where I think that you and I absolutely align is, first of all, I think we're creatives first, and a lot of times, one of the things that I get extremely frustrated on traditional campuses is that there are many individuals out there who could be actually really, really good accountants, but the way that we kind of process them through the university system is that you take your first principles class, or at University of Florida, we called it generations, right? So you take a generations class, which was a little bit of financial, a little bit of cost, a little bit of corporate, and then you would then the next one right after that would be financial accounting, which is obviously the presentation side of it, and then the third one would be the initial cost accounting class, which of course everybody hated, but the whole goal there is that if you pass these three classes, and you had to have at least a C or better, but if you got a C, people were kind of like, maybe you shouldn't be in this field. But if you had a B or better, you were like basically brought into the accounting program. And what I found was really frustrating. Again, on the back end of it, turning back and looking at the weed out process, right? Because accounting, they just love weeding out people. It's actually one of the things that I think they pride themselves that we only get the best of the best, the cream of the crop, right? But the problem that I see is that as people start running through these traditional accounting systems, you weed out all these individuals who are very creative. They think outside the box. They do all these other things that accountants aren't really known for. Why? Because when they first took their first accounting course, they looked at it and said, "This isn't for me," or they were good at it and they decided that, and someone came along and was like, "Yeah, this is not really for you." And so I kind of equate it to, you have all these square pegs, And accounting is this round hole. And in order for you to actually become an accountant in these traditional university settings, they need to take this square peg and just jam it until those corners that make you unique and different and mystifying and mysterious and all those words that can make you come off the page. Those corners are gone and you become a circle peg just like everybody else. And then what happens is you get through the process, you're very smart, you're getting through you're very technical, you understand how these things are working. Then you go in the real world and you find out it's like, we're all the same. Like we all love working real hard. We put that mantra on. It's like we're gonna work. Was it working late, charging 8? I used to have a senior manager that told me that. It's like working late, charging 8. It's like charging 8 what? Charging 8 hours. You're not charging any overtime for this job. That's like, wait, is that illegal? But the whole point is that you have all this diverse thought and backgrounds and just country of origins, all this different stuff, where everybody's saying we need diversity in the industry. Well, I think it needs to start at the university level, because that's where people go to kind of find out who they are. And if they take that first couple of accounting courses and they're told like, yeah, creatives aren't, that's not really your thing. Why don't you go to marketing? Why don't you kind of go to public relations or something like that? Then no wonder why we all look the same on the other side of the process. It's a giant meat grinder is what it is. So when you talk specifically about creativity, I think about it from the standpoint of there are a ton of people just like us who are 20, 30 years behind us who are now coming through this process who I want to put a giant net out there and say, please come into my industry. Please come in, because we need people like you, because the people I'm sitting around are super boring. And I'm getting looked at as like, what's that weird guy doing here? It's like, oh, that guy smiles and he looks me in the eyes instead of my shoes. That's weird, But I love the creativity. I love the fact that you're talking about the visual art of accounting. You mentioned color accounting. Peter has actually been on this show. In fact, one of his podcast show is one of my favorites because you can really see him come alive. And by the way, he is extremely passionate about this. But it got to the point when I met them, I was looking around for something to basically. I wanted to be a little bit more impressive, not impressive for me, but impressive like with the information. Mm-hmm. And me, I am a visual learner. In fact, there are times when I'll warn people inside board meetings and things like that. It's like, listen, if you're going to start firing off numbers at me or like schematics and things, I said, if I look like I'm drifting off, I'm not being rude. I'm not dismissing you. I'm trying to create a mental map or a picture in my head so that I can understand the information you just shot at me. And usually I get a little chuckle from that, but it's true. It's true. I sit there and I'm drawing. I'm putting like whether it's triangles or circles or cartoon characters, whatever it is, so that I can assimilate that information, or I'm just physically drawing something on a pad of paper. That's because I'm a visual learner. Well, here's the thing. As a visual learner, there are, like you said, 75% of us use our eyes or interpret this information 75% through our eyes. Well, there are other people out there who are also visual learners. And so if I'm a visual learner, why don't I figure out how to teach in a visual manner so that the visual learners out there can appreciate what I'm trying to get across, and the audible learners, they don't care. Like I get best of both worlds, and I feel really good about being somewhat creative on a whiteboard, with these good smelling markers. I love the premise of this conversation that creativity absolutely belongs in accounting, and it doesn't. Even though we have our rules and our regimented systems, I get that. It doesn't mean we have to leave check our personalities at the door in order to come do what we're doing. Very like that Apple show where they go in the elevator and they turn into someone else, right? So I was very pleased when I heard about you, and then of course we talked about we had that phone call, and I was like, okay, this is just way too serendipitous. I love it. So tell me, you are a painter, and you had a love of painting before you got into accounting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tell me about that maturation process. How did you finally realize that, hey, I really want to bring painting and art into this very technical discipline?
All right, let me tell you the story. So, to be honest, when you say I'm going to choose arts as a major, everyone will be looking like, oh, what's that?
She's gonna starve.
The bad choice ever. Sorry. I love all the artists. I have a lot of artist friends. I have much respect toward them. But I faced this challenge. So I was like, yeah, what should I do? Because I was so good with math at the time. And everyone was like, oh, accounting, do accounting. Like, it has much potential. You will succeed. You will make a lot of money. Yeah, all right. That's a good motivation. But honestly, I want to be passionate about what I do. So I was like, all right, let's do it. And I was so good at it. I mean, it made sense. It was so logical. It was, I mean, so useful. I was like, yeah, I think everyone needs accounting in their lives, starting from managing their own finances, like even your pocket money, to big businesses. And then honestly, I got bored. I got so bored doing this journey. I was like, I was that annoying student in class asking the why question every time. For me, the how was answered perfectly. Thank you, all my professors. And the standards were so clear. I can go back and check them, and everything makes sense. But tell me the story. Make it interesting. Make it, I mean, viable and real. And I was like annoying them. Why? And at certain points in my life, I was sketching for myself. I was, as you said, I'm a visual learner, so I was drawing, I was sketching. For me, this helped me a lot to remember, because there's a huge amount of
I totally understand. Keep
to
going.
remember. And I think maybe Peter mentioned this in a previous episode. The main three challenges in accounting are the language. We speak our own language. The second is the structure, so we should be so compliant when it comes to the structure, and the mechanics. I mean, when we talk debit and credit, this is so specific to accounting. And when we learned that, we were like, oh, the debit side is the door side, and the credit side is the window side. Oh my God, if we switch, my whole world will switch. So drawing helped me. So as a student, and then when I joined the faculty team, back in 2014, for a couple of years, as I said, I was so compliant. You want me to do this, I will do this. You want me to use these textbooks and, resources, I will do it. And I started my own revolution in 2017 by exploring and, introducing, keeping the classical way, but introducing, this aside to complement, to enrich the experience. Because honestly, I can't just say, oh, let's drop the classical way and give up on the textbooks and let's be 100% creative. Honestly, till today, I'm not doing this. I'm complementing, I'm enriching the experience of the classical teaching way. So here, as I told you, like I started exploring drawing. Oh, what do you think about that? Can I improve this? And the second thing that I did, I got inspired by my students, because they are a real inspiration. Students were like, oh, we appreciate your efforts. I was like, oh, let me see your creative side.
Oh,
now.
cool. Okay.
Yeah, so I introduced what I named at the time fun work. And for them, it was like, fun work? An accounting course? Oh, God. And the fun work was like, oh, just pick a concept or a chapter or a section, whatever we agree on, and present this in a creative way.
I love this.
For the first generation was like, creative way? What do you mean? I mean, what should I do? Usually they ask me to prepare reports. Usually they ask me to,
This is great.
Yeah, and gladly at that time, we were not talking about AI, so good for us. They were challenged, faced through that assignment, and then after a couple of weeks, they were back with songs. They were
Wow, really?
games. They were back with, so much creative work, even memes, and they were funny. Imagine accounting being funny. And I was surprised. I was like, in French, chapeau bas, guys, like, you are amazing. You did great. How did you manage to do that? I'm doing it my own way, using the visual arts. You went beyond. I had someone who's so good with the piano, so it was a whole song with lyrics and piano playing.
Wow.
Around, and it was like, Miss, my voice is not that much good, so I'm putting Google singing for you. So I was like, thank you so much. They were using comics. I mean, and the games, they were inspired by the Monopoly board game, the Fortune Wheel game. I received even Christmas tree game, and they were so, I mean, fun and interesting to play. And you learn. You learn when you play. And I was like, guys, you make me believe more and more. And that's
awesome.
What it pushed me to do more and keep doing it. So for me, it was like sketching and drawing. And at the same time, the fun work project. And at a certain point, I introduced the color counting learning system. And today, overall that, I provide my students with a whole page that summarizes the whole chapter. It's just one page of sketchnoting of very basic drawings that summarizes a whole chapter, a very heavy chapter. And you mentioned earlier saying, I'm a visual, so I can imagine how it connects, and I start drawing. By the way, the drawing step is the last step, because you listen, you understand, you analyze, and then you summarize, you synthesize. And then you reach the point of the drawing. And drawing is not that much complicated, honestly, because you can search, go through internet, Google, whatever, and get yourself inspired. And honestly, I encourage everyone to do it. And not only visually, because today we're trying to provide an experience, a whole experience. I mean, the hands-on experience, because we, by default, let's say, target the auditive people. So that's checked already. Visual people, that's needed work. But hands-on experience, let people play around with a system of tickets, and they see the accounts as buckets, and they play around. That's why I noticed something really important from my students' work. It was mainly games related. So today I believe in gamification. I believe that we should introduce gamification in our way of teaching. And again, I want to say that classical way of teaching is good, but we are trying here to upgrade it, to like enhance the experience and make it like a full, incredible, stimulating, interesting experience. And this will help us honestly move from the boring, state to the, oh, interesting, really fun, really helpful. So this is what we are aiming to do.
So I have a question for you then. So your students, it's obviously resonating with the students, right?
Yes.
When you first started out, and I think I already know the answer to this, but when you first started out, what were the other faculty thinking? What was the feedback you were getting from them?
Yes, I was expecting this question, honestly. All right, to be honest, it was, let's say, two groups, subgroups of people. The first one were like, let's say, a bit indifferent. They believe that the classical way is doing magic already, so we are good enough with that. Why we should do like over or more work or dive deeper in other fields and bring more methods and so on. But they were like, yeah, that's cool, that's nice, but we think that you are the only one who's able to do that, we can't do
I've heard that before.
And there is another part who really believed and encouraged, and they were like, oh, it's amazing, oh, we believe in what you're doing. Like there's more enthusiasm, more motivation, more support, let's say, and maybe this brought me more trust and freedom to do it. But to be honest, the more challenging part that I faced was the research part, because usually as accounting educators, we are more, let's say, lean into other topics, updated for sure, innovative. Okay. But like blending art and creativity with accounting education, which is my current topic, what I'm doing here in the University of Wyoming, honestly, nobody was, encouraged enough to join this like crazy journey and adventure. So So honestly, still today, I'm doing it myself. I'm doing it alone, and it's a solo, let's say, trouble here.
Well, so I've got a story for you, and I know we talked about this on the phone, but I'm going to rehash it here because it's part of our experience as being creatives in accounting. So years ago, I'd come out of University of Florida, went to school for PwC. I'm sorry, went to work at PwC in Deloitte, and one of the things that like really frustrated me when I was there is that. And I'm taking this is a very long story, very short. Was that I looked around and I said, hey, why are all these people around me quitting? We all came out of schools with masters in accounting and our CPA licenses. We were absolutely the creme de la creme of the University of Florida, and we had these jobs. We were all making great money. It was like. So why are these people that I graduated with, who I knew were extremely smart and agile people, why were they quitting? Well, come to find out that there's what you learn in school, and then there's what you actually need to know when you're actually in industry, right? And like you said, there's a lot of information that's basically pushed down our throats in the university setting because they're almost like they're preparing you for the next 15 years of your life. When in reality, what you really need is you just need to know what the next 2 or 3 years look like, because then your needs for your appetite for particular pieces of information is going to you're going to be more hungry over here and less hungry over here, and you kind of figure out what your path is and where you want to go. But the traditional model is to say, hey, here's your intro to accounting book. Oh, and then right after that, here's your intermediate book, and then your advanced book. You're like, wait a second, I'm doing business combinations for like billion-dollar companies, and I have no idea how's the cash flow statement work again? So what I was finding is that people all around me were just getting, they were disenfranchised by looking, it's not for me. Like what I learned in school is not what the real world is like. And I was like, this is quite a conundrum, because here I am, and I don't want to quit accounting, because I think that accounting, like you said, the logical side really makes sense. And I was having the same kind of troubles as everybody else, just kind of getting the ground underneath my feet, say, okay, get that motor running. But it finally came to the point where I was like, okay, something's got to change. And so I remember it was my University of Florida professor. He came to I was down in Tampa. He came to a Tampa Bay Lightning ice hockey game. And they kind of went around, it's like, because I worked with a whole bunch of Florida State Seminoles. And so, like, hey, are there any Gators in the room? I'm like, yeah, put my hand up. It's like, yeah, apparently there's some University of Florida professor going to be at the box tonight. Do you want to go hang out? And I was like, dude, free hockey game? Of course. So we go to the hockey game, and it was my audit professor, Dr. Neckel, and who is actually still teaching at the University of Florida. And I remember having a conversation with him. Basically, after a couple drinks, it's you start to get a little loose. And I remember asking him, I was like, Dr. Neckel, you need to answer this for me. How come you didn't prepare me for the real world? And he goes, whoa. And then he basically gave me a really quick playground version of, this is what the university is responsible for, this is what industry is responsible for, and both of them are okay with that. And I was like, yeah, but the problem is that the customer that needs to travel from the university to the corporate, they're getting destroyed. And so I told him, I was like, look, I'm going to fix this problem. I'm going to create a curriculum that actually addresses this head on, and it's going to be busy season 1, busy season 2, busy season 3, right? And it's going to be kind of phasing people into the program. He goes, Naddy, listen, I want you to do that. He goes, but understand, when you go through your PhD program, he said, because of how academia is, you're going to go in with these ideals, and they're going to flip you upside down, they're going to turn you inside out, so that by the time you're walking out, you are going to be saying the same thing as everybody else in the room, just so you can finish it. And I said, I disagree. So, fast forward, got the Doctor of Business Administration, started working on this curriculum, and you said something earlier about, well, maybe it's something that only you can teach. I remember going in front of, the 2014 American Accounting Association. It was down in Anaheim, California at the time, which was really weird, because at the time there was like a big YouTube influencer thing at a neighboring hotel, and it was weird because everybody was there. Like, there was tons of kids just everywhere, and of course I was like, what are all these like teenagers doing here? They were there to see their favorite YouTube stars. It's like, I didn't even know that was a thing. So anyway. I'm pitching this curriculum, and I was told that from the reviewers, you know, you have your board, you know what I'm talking about, you have everything. And I was told by the reviewers, hey, that I was this close to winning that curriculum. It was called the Mark Chain Award at the time. I think it's still called that. The best curriculum for now they've separated it to where it's like grad and undergrad, what have you. But I was this close to winning. They told me the reason why is I didn't win was because we believe this is too professor specific. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, break that down for me. What does that mean? Do you mean that that this can't be applied across the United States? They're like, no, it can be applied. The problem is like, you need to teach it. Like, but it's a curriculum. It's like, yeah, but the problem is like the way you're approaching this issue, you have specific knowledge in how this stuff needs to roll out that makes it unique to your teaching style. And we don't know if there's other professors out there who would kind of fall in place. Now, hindsight 2020, there absolutely is other people that could have taught this, but it was one of those things where it's like, what an interesting thing to say that they love the curriculum, they love the idea of the curriculum, they love how it was very, very, very phased approach, but that because you aren't teaching it, it may fail in the grand scheme. I was like, okay, well, that was the first time I heard that. At this very same conference, I was in a session. I was asked to talk in a session. And again, I've been in academia for what, maybe 2 years? I mean, officially in academia. And so being asked to speak at a session, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. This is awesome. So I'm teaching on a subject about how I use cartoons in my, now this is 2014, 2012, about 2014, when YouTube, like people are just starting to use YouTube inside the classrooms, right? It's like right now it's just kind of like the thing where people post their goofy videos, you know, falling off their bikes and their skateboards and stuff like that. It wasn't really being used at the moment the way it is today. And so I'm using DreamWorks, the Lorax. I'm using Pixar cartoons, the Toy Story. I'm using these little snippets of these cartoons to land business principles. Mm-hmm. I'm doing this in a room full of other professors from universities all over the place who are anywhere between, I think I was like 34, 35 at the time, who are anywhere between 40 to 65 years old, okay? They're all looking at me as if I had like 17 eyes. They're like, what is this guy talking about? He uses cartoons to land the plane? Like, this is ridiculous. And so it was one of those things where I almost felt like, did I just get myself kicked out of the academy? Because like these people were looking at me just in such weird ways. I did have a couple of people afterwards come up and say, this is a really interesting concept. Again, interesting concept. I was actually doing this in class at the time, and it was fantastic. I could teach anything on LIFO, FIFO, or average cost method with inside a little vignette of the claw, you know, that comes down and grabs those little aliens, you know. Or the Lorax, in looking at there's this 1 3-minute video, and I'll use it today, where it starts from the very beginning of when they cut down the truffula trees, and there's your raw materials, right? There's some labor involved, and then they're bringing it into the factory. You see the factory actually going through. It's like it's in silhouette, but you can see the stuff moving through. By the time it comes out at the ass end of the factory, it's a thneed, right? Mm-hmm. And it's getting put on trucks and it's being taken out. And then they talk about the PR, they talk about the lawyers, they talk about all this stuff in 3 minutes. Right? And I'm looking at this going, oh my gosh, I could teach an entire class on this 1 3-minute snippet and just talk about this, and then this, and then this. Oh, come back here, this piece, and then come back over here. And it was like, to me, this was amazing. Yes. The thing that I found was really challenging is that when I was trying to tell other people, again, this is the reason why I asked about the other faculty. When I would talk to the other faculty, they would look at me like, what do you mean you're using cartoons? These are the people in the same school. Right? Yes. They're like, what do you mean you're using cartoons? Like, guys, we have got to break out of this. Here's my 900-page textbook, and on page 455, there's something that's wholly irrelevant to anything that I'm learning right now. I'm probably never going to see that in my entire career. But for some reason, I have to memorize that because it's going to be on a test. A test for what? Testing my knowledge or testing how I can just, recite and regurgitate information? Mm-hmm. It just got to the point where it's like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we really trying to achieve here? Are we trying to actually create accountants, or are we trying to get people that just understand how to recite buzzwords? That was really frustrating to me. And so what I found in my classes, because I was also teaching fraud in interviewing interrogation, which, by the way, is completely different than accounting, because it's all body language. It's like looking at people and watching their eyes and look at their body, see which way they're shifting. It's so much more fun. But in accounting, I was like, why can't we do this in the principles classes, in the cost classes, in all these classes where there's very technical information, but it seems like it's just out of reach for some of these students that they're like, I think they just want to grab it, but it just keeps moving by. It's like, how can I make that to where they grab it, they look at it and they go, huh, that's interesting. Oh my gosh, I never thought that was a thing. And then all of a sudden they take that, like, wait, there's another one there. Wait, these two go together? It was like, to me, it was one of those things like, yes, this is exactly how accounting should be taught. But nobody was in support of it. Nobody. They're like, yeah, you're not a CPA, Naddy. It's like, oh, I mean, I have the credential, but I mean, I just don't wear the suit the way that everybody else wears the suit. And I'm sure you felt the same exact thing.
Yes, indeed, yes. Because for them, as I said before, like, you are the only one who can do this. And I think that we have also that challenge of time. For them, it's a waste of time. I'm not going to say waste of time, but it needs much time to learn, to implement, to use maybe. So we don't have that time. The curriculum is already heavy and we are running out of time and it needs a lot of efforts. So, I mean, yeah, maybe this is the big challenge. Like, it's time consuming. It's going to take time to be implemented. What if students won't accept this? What if? And by the way, telling you that I started exploring since 2017 and today it's 2026.
Yes.
That I started my research. So why? Because even myself, I was doubting. In a way, I was like, oh, let me test it first. Let me experiment it first to prove to the world that it's working, that everyone can do it. And I was in that optic, actually, that it's not only related to me. I mean, everyone should do it at a certain point or actually can do it. You see what I mean? So I was always thinking about accessible and easy to use methods. For example, when I tell you drawing, I'm not doing art here. It's not sophisticated perfectionist art. It's a very basic, simple drawing that we all in our lives, we started drawing this way. So it's very basic as children's drawing. And I've run my research and even joined the community that they are advocating and using visual facilitation. And I've learned that everyone can use it. And this community is introducing visual facilitation in the educational world, in the professional world, to all fields and disciplines. I mean, I've met people who are, drawing and sketching yoga poses. And how you do yoga.
All right.
On all disciplines. So during this long period of time that I consider, I was making sure that the methods and ways that I'm using can be adapted and used by everyone. So it's not just for me. It's not because I'm an artist and so on, so I can do it. Everyone can do it. And I'm glad that this is like growing day by day. And there is a huge community of people working on visual facilitation. Color counting as well is a big community and it keeps growing. And people, they keep getting accredited all over the world. So I'm sure that anyone, if suddenly I disappear from this field or this world, you can do it, guys. And the fun work assignment or project that I started with students, I use it again and again and again through years, and every time it actually provides more proof that it's working and students, they're enjoying, and it's a very interesting experience for them. And honestly, I keep discovering and being curious about more methods like gamification, how to introduce artificial intelligence, technology, and a lot of methods. And I'm so curious about other fields, how you're doing it, guys. Recently, I was invited as a guest speaker to talk about my experience, and the community was people from different fields, science and geology and so on, and they were all doing what we are trying to do, trying to be creative and trying to make the field more interesting. And let me tell you something, we are not inventing the wheel. Actually, right. This exists since the 14th century. And I keep telling this story again and again. I mean, the father of accounting, whose name is Luca Pacioli, he's the best friend of Da Vinci, the popular, most famous artist. And they were best friends. And each one of them influenced their work, so each other's work. And I mean, Luca was so good with geometry, and you can see that Da Vinci artwork is, I mean, you can see the geometry there. And vice versa. I mean, Da Vinci helped Luca with his book and the sketches and everything. So we are not inventing the wheel again. So we are trying to bring back and remember what was connected before, and humans before, they were like multidisciplinary. So why we should focus only on one thing, why don't we bring, I mean, very useful, interesting methods from other fields? And I want to add one more thing, which is really important, because in our field, accounting, we are more focused on the technical side. We develop the technical skills. We are so good in this. We are brilliant people. But when it comes to the soft skills, let's say, and the way how we communicate and how, you know, like, sorry guys, we are lacking a little bit this side. So
a lot bit.
Yeah. So honestly, as a person, I was so curious, and I love my curiosity because I've been looking around. Yeah, how to build more skills, whether visual or in communication or in negotiation or whatever. And this pushed me to work in the NGO world, and I'm so grateful. At a certain point in my life, I worked even in the United Nations, and this developed my personality, my skills, not only the technical one. I mean, how to manage a project, how to manage a team, how to communicate, how to talk in a very easy, simple way to different peoples from different backgrounds. I mean, having a team with people from different backgrounds and trying to explain that we are running on the budget and having like budget shortage or like financial difficulties, how to speak, how to make them understand without freaking them out. Because for them, oh, we have budget issues, which means like I'm gonna lose my job, and so on. So yeah, so there is a lot of I'm even curious in psychology and emotional intelligence. So the humans as a whole. So I'm teaching humans, so I should be aware about how they feel, how they behave, how they communicate. It's not only just accounting, like I'm delivering accounting knowledge and that's it. Because one of the biggest challenges that I may face is not your way, how you learn, whether auditive or visual, but you as a person, you have like family issues, maybe challenges in your life, how I can connect to you, how I can talk to you, how I can help you learn. Because honestly speaking, and I keep saying this to everyone around me, we are not the source of information. I mean, internet, AI, they're so good in this. So I am a human being, and I should care about you as a human and treat you as a human and get myself more skills to be able to provide you this amazing learning experience, because it's an experience, the whole experience, not about just like exchanging knowledge and that's it. So
yeah, I agree.
This is how.
So interesting. So I had a conversation with some higher ups over at SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, and after our conversation, it took me a little bit to kind of maneuver to get to the right people, but I basically told them, like, look, if you want me to do this, I said, SCAD is one of the most, it's like the perfect place to birth something like this. And the thought is that you bring, you find these creative accountants like you and me, and just find 3 or 4 other ones, we all land at SCAD, and we turn SCAD's passion for fashion, luxury brand management, for design, industrial design, all these different things, painting, acting, all the arts, if you will, and we inject it into accounting. I have forever been on this crusade that I think accounting as a language should actually be offered inside the collegiate realm. Shoot, I think we should even go down in the high school realm, and we should say, if we can classify it as a language, because it is a universal language. The great thing about accounting is that I can do something here in the United States. I can be talking to somebody in a completely different country. Accounting's the same, all right? Might be a different number on one side, but the nouns and the verbs are exactly the same. It's the universal language of business. And so I've been like, well, why don't we treat it like a language? Why don't we treat it like a foreign language? So when you go off to school and you're gen ed, you have to get two credits of a foreign language. So usually people pick like a Spanish or a French or a German or something like that. It's like, why wouldn't you pick accounting? Because accounting, one, I can't imagine that there isn't one mom or dad out there that would say, you know, I could just see the kid coming home. It's like, oh, I got to take a foreign language credit. It's like, oh, I got to take French. I got to take Spanish. I got to take accounting. I got to take German. Wait, what? Say it again. I got to take accounting. Like, you're taking that. It's like, wait, so you want me to take accounting as a language? But the whole thing is like, if you can actually get it to where we can codify it as a language, everybody, I'm telling you, I mean, I love learning the other languages too, but that language right there, that trumps them all. When it comes to being able to understand people from different cultures, different backgrounds, because it's basically the root of how to figure out money, how to figure out business, right?
Language.
It's the language. So my thought is, like, if they were able to go and like we find a high school, we find a university to say, hey, just try it. Just try it. I get it that it's going to buck the system. It's not going to be the same thing, but just see what happens over the course of a year when you offer accounting as a foreign language credit, and see what happens. And I think what would actually happen is people would take it not only to meet those credits, but also because they get to learn something that actually can help them through. Not to say that learning a language will help you, but the accounting piece of it can help you with so many different aspects of your life and your business, and it can help you talk to people around the globe. It's like the Star Trek Universal Translator that we put on their ears, right? So, or at the United Nations, they wear them. So that was one thing. But the other thing that I was thinking too is that, man, and you and I talked about this. You mentioned comic books earlier, and I love the visual arts to where, like, I've never collected comic books, but I appreciate Marvel movies and DC movies and things like that because it's very fantastic. It's like wham, bam, pop. You get to see those things snap, all these things. And it's very colorful. It's one of those things that it really resonates with me personally. Plus, I also very, very much like video games and things like that. So it kind of feeds me where I am creatively.
Very appealing.
Yeah. And so I look at it and I said, wouldn't it be cool if we could have, and by the way, I've had conversations, after you and I got off the phone, I had a great conversation with this guy. I was at the gym one night and I saw this guy, he was working out, and in between sets, he was like sketching. Mm-hmm. And by the way, we were only two guys in the gym. It was like 9:30 at night. Then nobody else was there. And so I was like, that's really strange. It's like every time he'll do something, he'll sketch, and then he'll go back and do another one, he'll sketch. Like, what in the world? Is he like writing a manifesto? What's going on? So finally, he puts it down, and I go over to him, and I was like, hey, do you mind if I look at what you're doing? And he's like, oh, yeah, sit right there. So it was comic book characters. Mm-hmm. And they were really, really good. And so come to find out, he's a tattoo artist, and this is the kind of stuff he does. He does on a side, and I'm like, did you trace all this stuff? He's like, that's straight out of my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then he showed me some other things, like some were like really like a Batman comic or a Superman comic, and some of them were like kid-oriented, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle type stuff, right? And so you're looking across the talent that this young man has in just developing comic books out of his head. I go, okay. I said, this is going to sound really stupid, but I want you to just kind of like, look, we're at the gym at 9:30. There's no one else around. I feel safe in my environment. Here we go. I said, what would you say if I could entice you to create a comic book based on accounting? Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, I don't really know anything about accounting. I was like, you don't have to. I said, I know the accounting. I just need you to create like a world around a handful of characters. You know, are they in an office? Are they at a house? Like what? I don't care where the places are. I was like, I just want something to move in this sequential format, right? That that people look at and go, oh my gosh, there's drama. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Oh, they're at the copy machine. Ah, and so all of a sudden, people, I could in one. A comic book is anywhere between 22 to 24 pages. And so I was like, I said, in 22 to 24 pages, I could probably tell 3 different stories. That 3 different characters, all working and like orbiting each other, walking through this process. And by the end of this comic, I could land 3 extremely technical accounting concepts, but done through this storytelling element of, wait, where's this going? Wait, he likes her, she likes them. They like dogs, whatever it is. This guy likes to skydive. Oh no, don't go skydive. Ah, you know, things like that. It's stupid stuff like that. But I'm like, and so I said, I can do that. I just don't have the mind, I don't have the creativity to be able to actually draw this stuff out. Sure, could I go to AI and say, hey, this is what I want you to do? Absolutely, but I don't want AI. I want like the human to get behind and go, okay, what about this? And what about this? Like, yes, this is fun. The creative process is so fun anyway. But let me tell you, there will be a comic book that is it's an accounting book, because here's what you got 22 to 24 pages. If I could make 10 of those, and then you take those and you stack them on top of each other and you put them inside one book, guess what you have? You have an accounting book that is all visual.
Yes.
And you know what else it is? This is great. I'll call Ben Affleck and be like, hey, buddy, I need you. So when Accountant 3 comes out, right, the Accountant 3, it's already storyboarded for anybody to come by and say, hey, I'd like to buy the movie rights to that accounting book. And like, yeah, you will. I'll call you up and say, hey, Sondos, we're going to the movie premiere of The Accountant Strikes Back. And you're like, yeah, wouldn't that be so cool?
Of course.
I think we can do it. I totally think we can do this.
Of course we can do that.
That's my big. I don't like the BHAG, the big hairy audacious goal. But if I had a BHAG, that would be one, because I think it would be transformational inside accounting. Because here's the deal: when you get into the college ranks, usually you're expecting to have these like really thick books and this is gross. But what if that was your book? On the very first book that you got in for an accounting orientation class, that was your book. Yeah. Could you imagine the difference? And people are like, wait a second, am I being punked?
Recording
like, what's
stopped.
Going on? So from my perspective, I see it and say, this could be the genesis of people adopting accounting and running with it, because they were just introduced to something that met them where they were, instead of saying, no. See those corners? You don't need those corners. You're going to be round. It's like, no. Keep those corners. In fact, here, make some more corners. Put some things out here, because these are the type of people. This is the kind of stuff that pulls these creatives into our world. We teach them the accounting, and our industry just becomes so colorful and so wonderful. And I think that you and me, people like us, we need to push this. We need to.
As long as we believe in this, we can do it, definitely.
I don't know how I can't believe in it. I mean, that's just like part of my persona now.
Yes, it is. Same here.
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot going on, and I talked to you earlier about this this nonprofit that I stood up. It's called Legacy Forge, and Legacy Forge it exists specifically for financial education, starting off with elite athletes and entertainers to kind of grab the sexiness of who they are and their influencing what have you, but using that influence to push down into communities, and then have conversations at the community level of how to start businesses, right? So teaching financial responsibility at the community level. Well, this is where this all comes in. The third leg of the stool for Legacy Forge is what I call Legacy Amplify, and it's basically the creative arts. And in fact, I wrote it very broad because, you know, the IRS gets a little weird when you start having fun with mission statements. But I said I wanted this to be anything and anything under the sun that promotes financial education. And so whether it's a cartoon, whether it's a skit, whether it's a comic book, whether it's painting,
Games.
what games? Yeah, I love the game side. But being able to actually present this financial information so that people understand it. We are bringing this crazy technical field, and we are pulling it down, not dumbing it down. We're putting it in a level that we can actually communicate one-on-one to people and meet them where they are, as opposed to saying, hey, you're not smart enough to catch us? Sorry, you got weeded out. There is no more weed out anymore. I think that we should be embracing these individuals and meeting them where they are, giving them information. It's like, and once they're hooked, I mean, just like you, once you got in, you're like, hey, this is pretty interesting. I like this stuff. Well, great. Now you can be yourself and learn this really cool technical field that you'll always have a job. And you don't have to do taxes and audit. You can go out and do whatever you want. But it's like, just go get that accounting degree. But that's the first part, is just going out and grabbing them. You have a pipeline issue? Not anymore. Because now we're going out, we're grabbing all these people, say, you are accountants too. And let me show you, I'm going to give you an accounting degree, but I'm not going to take away the thing that makes you cool, the thing that makes you, really pop. No, I want you to be that person, but I want you to be that person on top of a foundation of accounting. Because at the end of the day, it makes you and I cool and relevant.
And I think here it's more about financial inclusion and getting people speak the language. You've talked about why not teaching accounting as a language, and so important. I mean, being an artist and being close to the community of artists, I discovered that so many of them are struggling to start their own businesses because they need that accounting knowledge, financial knowledge. And honestly, getting them the classical way, it's like, no, I can't do that. It's really hard for me. But using those creative methods and trying to get closer and speak their language of colors and creativity and art and so on, this will be, familiar to them. Oh, yeah, I see it. Oh, it's clear. Oh, I can apply it in my world. And this is honestly what I'm trying to do, is to bridge both worlds. I mean,
I love it.
The art and the accounting, because there is much potential in the art, and they need us. I mean, all businesses, they need us. Imagine the art world, and the opposite is needed as well, because we accountants, we need art. We need therapeutic art. We need, expression in a creative way. We both need each other, I think.
Well, and think about it from the standpoint of, if you had a creative that came in and learned accounting, and now there are creatives out there, there are artists, entertainers, designers and stuff, and they need an accountant. Well, you already speak their creative language. Now you can give them the other side, and now you have not lost any of your creative cred, street cred, right? But now you can actually add value to your friends in the creative community, because you have this foundation that they do not have, but they absolutely need. But you speak their language. Your hair may be blue. You wear funny stuff. Whatever. You got crazy tattoos. Whatever it is, you got something pushed through your nose. I don't care. But the point is that you're part of the community, but you have this extra. This little gem that you have that people go, oh, you need a great CPA who understands us. Go talk to him. Go talk to her. And you could build your own creative accounting firm, or creative accountant firm. that's a slippery slope. But you could have your own firm, and it could be it could be like the when you go to, oh gosh, what is it, the Hall of Fame, or the music, the Hard Rock Cafe. When you go to Hard Rock Cafe, everything's about music, right? Could you imagine walking into a CPA firm? And you walk in, like, what is going on? Like, the art is amazing. The drapes are nice. Like that coffee table, is that an elephant's foot? Like, what? I don't know. But you look at it, you're like, this is my CPA. They get me. That would be so cool. I think there's a world out there for us. There's a world out there for us.
Much potential.
So let me ask you something. So you are in the University of Wyoming for how long?
For 10 months. So the full program for me, it was research and teaching for 10 months.
Okay, and so are you returning back to your home country soon?
Yes, I'll be back end of June.
Okay, so first and foremost, you need to link up with Peter and make sure that you can get on that global speaking circuit, because you need to be on the circuit. But also, if I had, I'm a professor, I'm a university, I'm a corporation, and I've heard this podcast. I know a little bit about you. I've heard about you. How do I get in contact with you to come and maybe, I don't know, rock my world for my young accountants, for my colleagues, for my university? How would I contact you after you are back in Tunisia, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I believe in LinkedIn. I'm available there. I post on a weekly basis, and it's a kind of confusing when you open my LinkedIn account and you find like different stuff and trying to connect these. So I'm on LinkedIn with my full name, so Sondos Banouri, and you can reach out to me, send me invitation, whatever. And I also share my art in my workshops and all the crazy stuff that I'm doing on Instagram as well. It's Sondos B World, so you can find my world there.
Okay. I love that. So a company wants to bring you in for like a corporate retreat. And it's like, we're going to bring someone in who understands us as accountants, but man, she has such a different way to pull this together. And so I could just imagine you walking in and like everybody's like, wait, what is this? There's like blank easels, right? And of course, they all think you're going to write like marketing information, or like, oh yeah, I want you to put your thoughts on here. It's like, no. Break out the paints. In fact, we're not even going to use brushes. We're going to finger paint this stuff. I want you to finger paint what you're feeling right now, right? And so I could see that for you. I could absolutely see you taking this world by storm and making creative accountants a real thing. So I hope that someday that you and I are going to work together. I kind of feel like it's going to happen anyway. But just to enhance the discipline that we both obviously share a great affinity for, and but just want to take it, want to look at it instead of this way. I kind of want to look at it. I want to look at it this way. I want to look at it this way. I want to look at it this way, so that I can present it to other people, so we can present this wonderful discipline to other people in a way that makes sense to them. That is the ultimate goal of being a professor, and is not just understanding the knowledge, is knowledge transfer. And if we can affect that in very creative ways so that they understand it, the point is not me talking, is the point of you receiving. And so I think that you're onto something here. I'm glad to have finally have had this conversation, because it was just as electric as I thought it was going to be. But I don't want to lose contact with you. I think you're wonderful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
So I'm going to give you the last word. So Sondos, and I'm going to spell it out: Sondos Bannouri. And so they know how to get in touch. We'll put your information in the show notes. But any last words for our listeners that have made it through this very exciting podcast?
All right. So I'm going to say that I'm a solo traveler on this journey. So I appreciate to see people joining this journey and the adventure. It's kind of crazy, but it's not impossible. So I strongly believe that we can make a change in the accounting field, even a little one. And I believe as well that we can serve as a bridge between different fields. So curiosity is driving me, and I'm open to learn. So whoever want to reach out to me, and please inspire me, because I keep learning even from my students, from different backgrounds in the field. So this is an exciting journey, and I'm so grateful and glad that I've met you, and I've met Peter and people from different communities like Color Accounting, like Accounting Cafe. So amazing people. They're doing a lot of work around this world. And one more thing, this world so huge and big, but at the same time it's connected. So it's easy to connect to people, amazing people. They're doing amazing work. And again, it's not impossible. It's possible. So just believe in that, trust that you can do it, and just reach out to people. Just talk to people. Just open doors. You don't know where these doors will take you, and I believe it will definitely take you to incredible places. So
I'm so excited. Well, thank you so much for your time. And again, I'm going to be following your career. This is not the last time we're going to talk because we're definitely going to be doing something in the future together. But thank you for gracing us with your knowledge and your passion. We need more of this in the accounting industry. So yeah, fly that flag real high.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yes,
you got it.
Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.